Hi there, it's Nicole for Simon Says Stamp, and today I am sharing this set of inlay cards created with the Simon Says Stamp January card kit. This is an amazing card kit full of fantastic pattern papers, cardstock, of course an exclusive stamp set, stickers, glitter dust, a little ink pad, and what I really love is they've included 5 envelopes this month that make it so easy to just make your card, pop it in an envelope, and get it sent on its way. I thought I would kind of start with the unboxing of the kit here. To show you all the elements that come in the kit. Almost everything is being used in this card set here today, with the exception of the glitter dust and the ink pad, which I use the glitter dust on another card on my personal YouTube channel if you want to check that out. So there was the stamp set. Here are the pattern papers. You can see I already pulled several of the pattern papers out that I was going to use today, but lots and lots of amazing patterns left. Here is that awesome little puffy sticker set. The envelopes in beautiful metallic colors. There's metallic ivory, dull pink, schoolhouse red, another ivory one with the V flap, and then cotton candy. And they all have that beautiful metallic sheen to them. Here is the little pink ink pad and then the vintage platinum glitter dust, which is beautiful, so pretty for adding glittery accents. And then lots and lots of cardstock, which is great for card bases, great for die cutting elements, which is what I'm going to do here today. It's going to die cut lots of these little backgrounds for my card set. So that is the components included in the January kit. I am going to be die cutting cardstock using the Simon Says Stamp wonky rectangle, the largest from that die collection, and then also die cutting the Simon Says Stamp Hearts Alive die. And this is going to be die cut from that wonky rectangle. It's creating these amazing little panels in my card so that I can do some inlay very easily. So the panel itself is going to be die cut from cardstock for all 5 of my cards, whether it be the schoolhouse red, cotton candy pink, or the doll pink. Those are the 3 colors of cardstock that I used for my card bases. I really liked these 3 color combinations with the pattern papers I chose. If you chose maybe some different pattern papers, it's really just kind of whatever you like. So there is what the base of my inlay looks like. Very detailed. I'm using my Spellbinders tool to kind of poke out all of these little pieces from the panel that I've die cut, and then I want to die cut the Hearts Alive shape from pattern paper, several different pattern papers, so that I can mix and match these to create the inlay. I'm not going to die cut all of these on screen to save a little bit of time, but I chose about, I think, 5 different patterns to use to mix and match on my inlays. So before I adhere anything, I'm just going to show you how easy it is to inlay all these little pieces. That's that text paper. Then I'll be mixing in some different patterns for the hearts and things. I want to use something different that then I use for that background for each of these. And a piercing tool of some sort makes it so much easier to get all of these little pieces out of the die. So those are all the little leftover, kind of quote unquote leftover pieces from that text pattern paper. Then I went ahead and die cut it from the stripe paper. Again, I want to save all these pieces. I did end up with a few more pieces than cards. You could definitely use all of them and make cards out of all of the little pieces if you want to. It really is up to you. I did not save the solid cardstock pieces, but I really could have and even done more cards. It's really unlimited the amount of cards you can create with this kind of design. I do try my best to use as many as possible so that there is no waste. I like to use a little Post-it tape to hold my die in place to run through my die cutting machine. That's because if there is a pattern at all, for example, the text, the heart paper here that I am just piercing and popping out of the die now, if it kind of goes through the machine wonky, it could really skew the look of the pattern paper, which I don't particularly like. So I tend to like to put a little piece of Post-it tape in place, run it through with that so that everything stays nice and straight. And it gives you the best results this way, I think. Plus, it saves as much paper as possible. Even though I did all of this die cutting, I had almost a half sheet left from all of these pattern papers, at least. You can save a lot of paper this way. I still have lots of pattern paper left in these exact patterns that I can use on lots more cards. So I always love to try to get as much out of the card kit as possible. And this is one way to do that, just by kind of trying to position your dies so that you can save as much paper as you can. Next, I have die cut all of the elements now, and I've laid them all out so you kind of can see how they're all going to go together, but I've not adhered anything yet, and that is for a very specific reason. I really like to wait to add any adhesive until after my heat embossing is done, because it almost always happens that some embossing powder will stick to any little adhesive it can find. So what I'm doing is using an anti-static cling powder tool to stamp my greetings right underneath each of these Hearts Alive inlays. And I'm using different greetings from the Really Like You stamp set included in the kit. It's also available for individual purchase. And I'm stamping everything with Versamark ink and heat embossing with either Simon Says Stamp white embossing powder or antique gold embossing powder. The only difference is on the Schoolhouse red and doll pink cardstock, I'm using white because the cardstock is deep and dark enough that I really love how the white pops, but I don't really particularly like the white on the cotton candy pink cardstock. It doesn't show up as well. So I went ahead and used the antique gold on this, which is going to complement the puffy heart stickers because they have a little bit of a gold band around each of those. So it kind of draws out that gold color as well as being much more bold and easy to read. This is very much assembly line style card making where I did all my die cutting. Now I'm doing all of my stamping and embossing. Here is going to be an example of the gold embossing powder, and you'll see how much easier this is to read than what white would be. White would just really kind of get lost on this light pink background. I love the light pink background, but you want something a little bit bolder. I didn't really want to use black for this portion because I'm going to be stamping the little label stickers from the Really Like You stamp set on white cardstock with black ink and then trimming those out and adhering those to my card. And I didn't really want both greetings to be black. Here is that awesome gold. So pretty. I'll go ahead and finish this last one, and then I can start doing the inlay. Now, if you've seen any of my videos on inlay, a lot of times I like to back the panel with foam adhesive and then do all the inlay. I didn't want to have my panels be very raised this time. So instead, I applied adhesive directly to my card base. I'm using the Glue Glider Pro Permatack adhesive. Placed my panel in place, and then I am inlaying all the little pieces. It's super quick and easy this way, and my card stays relatively flat, which is going to make it even easier to run through the mail. So I am using a lot of adhesive here. There is a reason. This really helps with the inlay technique. if at all possible, I really try not to use liquid adhesive for my inlays just because I don't want any of that glue coming out from underneath any of the little lines and ruining the design. Here are all my card bases, and now I'm going to simply take the hearts from the puffy sticker set included in the kit and pop these in place over the hearts. For the most part, I am sticking to the solid hearts. I did use one of the aqua hearts with the little face on it. For the one card that does have some little aqua hearts, I thought it kind of helped tie in the whole aqua feel of that design. These are so pretty. They add a nice slightly dimensional element to the card without being too thick. These are still going to run through the mail very easily, and they have that beautiful little gold rim all the way around it. So on the cards with the gold embossing, it really helps draw out that gold color. Here are all my little phrases. I've pre-stamped quite a few of them. And now I am going to just trim them into thin strips to make it easier to cut them apart. I end up generally trimming them up with my scissors anyway because I want to get as close to the greeting without cutting off all of the white border as possible. And then I'm going to mix and match these words to finish off my little greeting and kind of change up where I put the placement of each of these depending on what greeting is already stamped on the card. So just using a pair of scissors to trim around each of these. And I kind of laid everything out and then adhered all of the little phrases at once. I'm going to use some 1/8 inch score tape on the back of all of these little pieces. It's also, you could use a liquid adhesive, Ranger matte medium would be good. Glossy accents would probably also work as long as it didn't come out from underneath because it will leave a glossy finish and you don't really want to see that. Some bling glue dots would also be amazing. So once my cards are all finished, I've added all those little phrases. That is it for the cards, but I wanted to dress up the envelopes as well so that they coordinate really nicely with all of these cards I've just made. So taking some stamps from the Really Like You stamp set, first I'm going to start with the XOXO border. And then I'm going to use one of the hearts from the stamp set right under that and stamp this on the flap of some of the cards. I kind of switched it up depending on which envelope I was using. So the ivory metallic is going to have this design, as well as one of my, or as well as the doll pink envelope, I guess I want to say. And I went ahead and stamped that with Versamark and embossed with the antique gold embossing powder. You can see how well that complements. It's just a beautiful, small, handmade touch that finishes off the whole design so nicely. I am using the anti-cling powder tool to help keep that embossing powder only on the stamped image, especially on all of the envelopes, but especially the darker ones. You're going to want to make sure you buff off or wipe off that powder after you're done embossing and after it has dried and cooled so that you don't have that powdery residue. I'll save the V-flap one for last. Let's go ahead and do the doll pink envelope next. This one I'm going to switch up and use the heart border with the Love You sentiment right above it. And I started with the heart border and decided to add the Love You sentiment afterwards. So I went ahead and applied my embossing powder. And I kind of decided after I had already heat set this and everything that I'd really like to add a sentiment or something else to the back of this as well. Here's a good example of all of that powder that really leaves a residue that you're going to want to buff off when you're all finished. I'm going to take the Love You greeting, stamp that right in the center, and add the white embossing powder to this as well. Now on the second card, or envelope rather, that I use these same two stamps, I'm going to stamp the heart border and then just change the position of the love you sentiment and kind of shift it over to the right. I kind of like that, maybe even a little bit better. So stamp my little heart border, go ahead and stamp the love you, add the white embossing powder, and then heat set this. For the final envelope, it's a V-flap, and the borders are not going to work as well for a V-flap. Instead of using any of the borders, I chose to use 3 of the heart designs from the Really Like You stamp set. And I'm going to just work to find some position that I like, go ahead and sprinkle on that antique gold embossing powder, and then heat set that. And that finishes off the back of this card beautifully. So here is a look again at all 5 cards and envelopes all finished. I hope this has inspired you for creating with the January 2018 card kit from Simon Says Stamp. Thanks for joining me today. Please be sure to visit the Simon Says Stamp blog for more information. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.